What's up everybody, my name is Vincent. Welcome to Cryptolution, where we talk about everything under the moon in the crypto universe. Today's Monday, June 15th. Now, in today's video, we have some breaking news. Because if you've been wondering who the short-term holders are over the past 2 years, well, we've just found out using Claude that's been the Binance cluster wallet this whole time. And as you know, based on all of our previous videos, is that the Binance cluster wallet has been also manipulating, influencing the price of DOG, accumulating DOG over the past 2 years for potentially a reason that I'm going to share. And this is leading up to a supply squeeze, which also could potentially lead to a short squeeze, which is very bullish. Now, I want to dive deep into this because we also have to cover the macro data. What's been going on in the macro market? Why is DOG up 6%? Well, it's because Bitcoin's up 6%. Then I want to share with you at the end of the video, if DOG were to experience what all these other DOG themed meme coins had experienced in their parabola events, meaning when they reached new all-time high market caps, how DOG's market cap currently at 67 million would react and also multiply in terms of X gains and where you could expect the market cap of DOG to be in those results. So let's cover it in this video. Smash up the like button, subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to join us on X. Please be careful with any of the scammers down in the comments below. I'll never reach out via WhatsApp, Telegram, direct messaging, or emails. Please be careful and invest safely. Guys and girls, let's get right into it. So as you can see right now, DOG is up 6.19% over the past 24 hours. Now, DOG right now is below the 50-day moving average line, and we do need to be above the 50-day moving average line to confirm that we are going to head into a bullish divergence, which the 50-day would then cross with the 200-day moving average, and that would be a very bullish golden cross. Now, I want you to pay attention to another thing specifically. Now, over the past week or so, have you noticed that the trading volume on BitGet, Gate.io, Mexi, even Kraken has been very low, extremely low. There's a reason why they're low. And I do believe that the team or whoever the insiders are at Binance have been watching and paying attention to our posts and our videos. And they realize that they're trying to figure out what the next thing that they should do in order to influence the price of DOG. That's just my personal opinion, because everything is not a coincidence in terms of timing. I really do feel like they're watching this video that you're watching right now. So notice that the trading volume right now is not 1.2 or 1.4 million. It's below a million. They know this. They know exactly what's going on. So this is why you're not seeing a lot of massive trading volume or activity with DOG, because it's not being heavily influenced by these market makers or these cluster wallets related to Binance. So let's just keep that in mind. Now let's move on to the macro aspect, because the reason DOG is up is because also Bitcoin's up. So Bitcoin right now is up around 4.93%. So that's just everything that's going on with Bitcoin. And then why is Bitcoin going up? It's because we saw this posted yesterday from Donald Trump, the president of the United States. Basically in this Truth Social post is that he has signed an agreement, a peace treaty with Iran. And that basically in exchange, he's going to remove some of the naval blockades from the United States from the Strait of Hormuz, and also the Strait of Hormuz is going to be open, toll-free, and that eventually, I think what people are saying is that Donald Trump is going to be buying some sort of investment within Iran. I don't know if it's like $400 billion. I don't know what that is. What kind of trade was this at all? It doesn't really matter because everything is actually pumping, not just crypto, but also the stock market. But what other news can there be? Well, this Wednesday, given the fact that Kevin Warsh, who is the new Fed chair, is going to have his first Fed meeting this Wednesday. So there's potentially this conversation around, is there going to be a rate cut? Now, most people, to be very honest with you, think that there's going to be a hold, meaning there's not going to be a hike or a rate cut. It's just going to be a hold, meaning no rate decision or interest rate will be made. But given the fact that Donald Trump specifically chose Kevin Warsh, maybe there could be potentially something that nobody sees coming, which is, what if he does do a rate cut? That would be kind of interesting. And the coincidence of this whole peace treaty deal being signed yesterday, right before the Wednesday Kevin Warsh Fed meeting, could be great timing. What if this is a white swan event, meaning it's something that's very positive that nobody saw coming? Now let's move on to DOG, because DOG right now just reached a new all-time high in long-term holder count at 81.82%. Now we're going to talk about this because we've always been paying attention to the long-term holders. What we haven't been paying attention to is the short-term holders. Notice that right now it's at 18.18%. Now let's dive into this Binance cluster. Now let's zoom in here. What have you noticed within this whole long-term holders versus short-term holders? So as we mentioned before in the previous slide, 81.8% is the long-term holders, which is in orange. But what else have you noticed? Because of Ordinals Al, who downloaded the Excel file from Dog Data website, he was able to give me basically the same information that determines a long-term versus short-term holder count on the website. And what I noticed is that when I put this into Claude had determined that the entire 13.7% of the 158 suspicious wallets connected to Binance that have been accumulating, they're all in the short-term holders. None of them, not a single one, is in the long-term holders. So what does this mean? So right now, basically the 158 wallets own 13.7%. Guess what? The 4.5% of short-term retail has around 3,628 wallets. Just to give you some comparisons, 158 wallets own 13.7%. Binance owns a lot of these tokens. It just goes to show that the short-term holders own less than maybe 100, maybe less than 800,000 tokens of dog. It's crazy. This is highly suspicious. Now, what we also need to keep in mind is the amount of those tokens, the 4.5%, because roughly that's around 4.5 billion dog tokens. This is what we call a free float supply. This is important because we're going to talk about this in just a little bit. Now, what we need to pay attention to is right here on the top section, which is when we experienced a crossover. So on July 25th of 2025, we had noticed that this specific time is when short-term holders switched their bags into the power hands of the long-term holders. So as you can see, the short-term holders were dwindling. They weren't having that same conviction. They weren't doing their homework. And it actually accelerated after the Kraken listing that happened in June 27th of 2025. So when that occurred, you started seeing more long-term holders start accumulating. And again, these are not including the Binance people, the Binance cluster that have been influencing the dog price. In fact, they've actually been selling and manipulating the price more and more, getting the short-term holders to sell their bags, which is kind of extraordinary. Now let's look down below in the bottom chart. This is on March or April of 2024. This is basically when Ordinals holders, basically people who held 3 Ordinals or more in their wallet, with their airdrop dog tokens. And some of those people have their wallets within Binance, right? So this is not Binance intentionally wanting to hold these dog tokens or Ordinals. They just happen to hold on behalf of their users. And the users probably didn't even know it. So they had around 0.35 billion dog tokens, which is not a lot. Then you start to see a huge accumulation period during that time. This is when runes, by the way, in 2024 were absolutely on everybody's radar. Then around November 2nd of 2024, we started seeing a huge accumulation happen right around there. Now notice that this was during the time before the Trump token came out in December 2024. It didn't stop Binance from accumulating these dog tokens, because even in 2025, they even ramped it up even more, especially after the Kraken listing. But notice after the Kraken listing, there was a plateau, meaning there was a peak. They hit roughly around 13.7% of the supply of dog, and they actually haven't been able to accumulate more ever since then. In fact, their token supply has actually kind of dwindled up and down because they were influencing the price of dog. They were sending their dog tokens to MEXC, BitGet, and Gate.io, not even really Kraken. Because on these other overseas exchanges such as MEXC, BitGet, and Gate.io, there's no regulatory oversight from the US SEC or even the US CFTC. So this is why they're able to do that in these overseas exchanges. But notice that there is a dip after we experienced exploitation of the Binance wallet, then followed by the confirmed network of wallets that happened in May of 2026. So there is a dip, and then they reaccumulated, and then they bought more dog right back into their wallets. So they're still holding that supply of roughly around 13.7%. This is crazy. Now, we need to talk about this float that's happening, because 4.5% that's kind of free floating out there means that's roughly around, I think, $2.8 million. So what does this mean? This looks like a supply squeeze, but really this is a short squeeze event. So what is going to possibly happen? So basically this is how a short squeeze works. When a token has almost no available supply, which is the 4.5%, and someone or something like an entity, an institution, a whale, who knows, starts aggressively buying into that thin market, which again, we talk about how the order books on all the exchanges are very thin. Anyone who has shorted expecting it to go lower, the dog price, suddenly can't find tokens to cover their position. There's nothing to buy because there's a very thin order out there. So they have to bid higher and higher, and the price moves faster than almost anyone anticipates because the math of 4.5% float simply doesn't allow for any orderly move. So when a coordinated entity such as Binance has sitting around 13.7% of the supply, understands this better than anyone else. If they choose to stop selling or influence the price of dog on these other exchanges, which CoinMarketCap and CoinGecko determines the price of dog based on these exchanges, then even a small amount into the market with the 4.5% float, the effect is disproportionate. They don't need to spend much. You can spend less than like a couple $100,000 and the price of dog moves up multi-millions of dollars. And if you spend like $2.8 million to fill in that 4.5% of that free float, it's going to exponentially increase way higher. That's how a short squeeze works. So this is why we pay attention to these types of things. I mean, just look at this. Like, what if Dog were to do a Dogecoin parabola event? Now, Dogecoin hit roughly around $88 billion. Well, since Dog is roughly around 60 to 67 million market cap, that'd be like a 1400x return on your investment. And that would be a price point for Dog at around 0.88. So like 88 cents, right? Almost close to $1. But now let's go over to Shiba Inu. If like Dog were to experience a Shiba Inu event, well, the price of Dog would go 683x. That means Dog price would be at around 41 cents. What about Bonk? It would be a 55x return, roughly around a 3-cent price point for Dog. What about Floki? It would go up 70x return in multiple gains, up around 4 cents per dog. Then if it were to do, say for instance, Dog with Hat, it would be an 81x gain multiple. The price of Dog on its market cap would be around $4.84 billion, which is around 4 cents. Now that you've seen how Dog can experience a parabola event and comparing it to other dog themed meme coins, just know that Dog is the only dog that has not pumped into the multi-billions of dollars. It's next in line. And why can that happen? Is because when you look at data like this, that Binance owns the short-term holders of 13.7%, which was part of the 18%. It's kind of crazy. So this confirms that Binance is not a part of the long-term holders. They're part of the short-term holder wallets that have been trading in and out of Dog, not really holding it for like long-term. They've just been trying to influence the price of Dog on these exchanges. This just confirms it. This is Claude showing you all this data that's happening right now in front of your face. So the short-term holders is not that many, 4.5%. That's a free float. So once that does occur for this supply squeeze, it leads into a short squeeze. It can literally happen tomorrow. This could happen at any moment in time. Considering that what's going on in the macro market within crypto, this could happen sooner rather than later. So you need to be best prepared. And you guys and girls are smart. That's why you're continuing to accumulate. This is why you are part of the 81.8% and it's continuing to climb. Who knows, maybe tomorrow it'll be at 82%. This is nuts. We've never seen this happening with any other meme coin. This is the benefits of the free and fair. Now these videos do take some time to make, so if you really appreciate these videos, please go into my X account, make sure to subscribe for just $1, or go into my YouTube page and give us a super thanks. Donate $5, $10 or whatever, right? It'd be really much appreciated. So with that said, I really do thank you for watching these videos. I want to thank our sponsors C2 Blockchain and Trucker Biff. Make sure to smash up that like button, subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to join us on X to receive all of our alpha calls and updates regarding Dog and Moon. Till then, see you guys girls next time.